Good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome. It is Monday.
Looking at Tuesday, moving on here, we got another Fed speech coming in, and then some S&P Global stuff coming in. New home sales is coming in, so that's kind of a decent deal. Let's see what these new home sale prices are doing. Are they going down? Are they going up? We will find out tomorrow. New home sales month over month expected to be down 0.2% or 2%, I should say, on the forecast. So that will be interesting if that's the case, because that'll bring it down to a 7.6% on the new home prices. So Wednesday, we got FOMC minutes. That's our first big one coming in this week, Tim. Initial jobless claims could be coming in on Thursday. Previously, is at 242,000 jobs claimed lost for unemployment. Consensus and forecast is going to be 245,000, both of them indicating that we had more jobs lost this week than last week. So keep an eye on that. And then Friday is going to be our first big day. We're going to get our personal spending month over month, personal income month over month. We're going to see what that pay scale is like for the labor force, and then durable goods and core PCE price index for month over month coming in there.
I want to make sure you guys know we have a channel partner here. You guys see them, you guys love them, you guys know them, but Chart Prime, we want to say a special thank you to Chart Prime for being a special partner of the Investing Bros channel over here on Bitcoin. That kind of sit in a spot. The title today is a little bit in the middle. We're not necessarily sitting very bullish. We're not necessarily sitting very bearish. And I'm going to start off by going all the way down to the 2-hour chart here. You guys are going to see with our dynamic reactor, this is the Chart Prime dynamic reactor. We have been sitting here back since the May 23rd. We've been using this as resistance. At the same time, we are setting higher lows still. What do we call this type of a formation? We call this a symmetrical triangle pattern. If I go up to the 4-hour chart, just so I can remove that, I'm going to show you the 12-hour chart here in a second too. But you guys, if we were going to draw a trend line right here, starting back on May 23rd, if we were to grab the trend line tool, there we go, and we were to come down, there's a couple of things we're looking at here. Symmetrical triangle patterns that come from bearish price movement traditionally, and that's the key word here, traditionally, because it doesn't always happen this way, but they traditionally break to the downside. Well, what's another formation right now? And I just grabbed my trend signal, but I want to show you guys, if we zoom out here, let's go out to the 12-hour chart, where we're also seeing some resistance from our 12-hour dynamic reactor. What are we sitting in a more macro time scale? We're looking at a falling trading channel. We talked about this over the last couple of weeks. The resistance level we're kind of looking up here is sitting closer towards 28,000. Now we're coming down to the blue line. If we were to come back down and touch this blue line, we're looking lower than 25,200. But of course, we have that very strong 25.2 sitting here with our green line. Let's go back to the 4-hour chart and let's take a look. Let's just say this symmetrical triangle pattern were to break to the downside. What you want to do is you want to measure the entry of the symmetrical triangle pattern and move it over to the last touch. Guess what this would do for us, guys? This would bring the price back down here to about 25,400, give or take, sitting kind of close to that green level right there, 25.2. So I'm not ready to declare with any type of certainty we are breaking to the downside. Again, these symmetrical triangle patterns traditionally break to the downside, but they sometimes move to the upside as well, especially when you have things like this right here, where on our 4-hour chart, we did get a green reversal triangle. But the question is, do we move to the upside or the downside? Same thing. Let's take that same measurement of the entry of this formation and let's move it to the upside. Let's say we found support. Oh, would you look at that? It would send us right back up to our level of resistance here on the falling trading channel. A big move is coming for Bitcoin, guys. A big move is coming. The question is in which direction, especially you're looking at, I think it starts here on the 4-hour chart. Yeah, we're getting some contraction. We've actually had our Bollinger Bands being contracted here on the 4-hour chart, but even as you start to move up, let's go up to the 8-hour chart. We're getting some contraction here, and I believe it goes even all the way to our 12-hour chart. One thing about Bollinger Bands, as you guys can see, going back in time, when you get this level of constriction, big moves are coming. Now, the problem with Bollinger Bands being used alone is they don't necessarily tell you to the upside or to the downside. You guys can see back here in April, of course, we had a big move to the upside. Now, just because we're seeing a contraction does not mean we move to the upside. We very well could see a breakout to the downside. But either way, something big is coming. You guys are looking at the low volume that's been here on Bitcoin over the last couple of weeks as well. That's another sign. As we're constricting in this price range, we're moving sideways, the volume's coming in low. That is not going to last for a very long time. There's going to be a bull or a bear or a couple of them that get together and make that explosive move. And I would not be surprised, guys. I would not be surprised to see us shoot in either direction. Here's what I'm going to still hold on to, though. Moving out to our daily chart, I'm going to go ahead and hold to the fact that I do believe we're still moving to the upside. Even in that bearish scenario, let's say we break down to that 25.2. It's not just the strong level of support that we've had ever since this strong resistance back in August of 2022. It's also where our dynamic reactor is here on the daily chart. And what I'm looking for here, guys, look over here, where our last signal we got on this amazing oscillator, which I haven't talked about as much recently because there haven't been major flashes. But the last major flash on the daily chart we got of overbought mixed with that red reversal triangle, that called the top perfectly. When we hit 31,000, that was our last major signal. And we have been coming to the downside. But guess what? Very, very soon, I'm expecting on the daily chart, watch this week or the next week. I'm going to give this about 2 weeks window. I'm going to be looking for another oversold flash. I think it's coming very soon. The question is, do we move a little sideways and break the support line? I would not be surprised to see it come down, touch that dynamic reactor, touch 25.2. We get our buy flash, and then we not only have our next touch here on the support level, we end up breaking the upside, break through the falling trading channel, which traditionally moves to the upside when it eventually breaks out, and we start to make our climb. Now, before I move on from Bitcoin, what I do think could happen, though, guys, in this kind of pre-bull market rally that still is going to have a dip coming, I think 25.2 it's going to take a lot to break 25.2 ever again. However, do not be surprised to see us come back down, touch it, and then maybe make a push up here to 36 and maybe trade sideways before one wick jumps up above 42, comes back down, and then we start making our way back down. And then later on this year, early 2024, that's when we really start the real bull market rally. That's all I'm doing right here, guys. I'm still looking. I'm not shorting Bitcoin. I'm not freaking out and saying, uh-oh, here we go, new lows incoming. I'm saying, all right, instead of looking for take profit areas in the $48,000 to $50,000 region, I'm really more now looking in the 36 to 42K region. That is just me. You guys continue to do your own research and look for yourselves. Let's move and look at the Dixie real quickly because it did some things we talked about last week. I just didn't think it was going to happen. But sure enough, it's doing almost exactly what we kind of talked about, worst case scenario. It did break this form of resistance, but I told you guys, keep an eye on this falling dynamic reactor here on the daily chart. Keep your eyes in the $103 region. Sure enough, that's exactly what we're seeing. We didn't quite touch it, but you guys can see we didn't really touch it back here the other time either. Let's take a look at our SMAs real quickly and see here. Right now, we broke above the 100 SMA on the daily chart. We're currently using it as support, but what we see coming in here again, this is a major flash right here, and everything from a sentiment and news perspective is saying the dollar, this is kind of a fake out pump, like almost like a going out of sale pump before the dollar starts to fall again. We have on the daily chart this red triangle and our overbought orange flash. Don't be surprised if we see another good flash up again as we see Bitcoin. Let me go back over here. If we do see Bitcoin drop down here to dynamic reactor 25.2, it would not be crazy to see Dixie make one more good pump up to the dynamic reactor, come up to that 103.60, 103.80 cent region, and then we get our little rejection right there. It moves back down to the downside. Bitcoin moves to the upside. That could be happening here very, very soon.
Looking at ETH BTC here. Yeah, guys. So right now, we are now sitting above that wedge right now. So let me pull that in here, the top line, and let me do the bottom line here. And let's show you what we're working with. There we go. We are sitting above on a breakout right now for the ETH Bitcoin. So this is one thing that I'm looking at that I think is pretty bullish for Ethereum price at least. But it also means Bitcoin can be going up too with it, just Ethereum at a higher rate. But one thing that concerns me when I look at the chart here, Tim, is the oscillator. And right now it's starting to get really tight here. And typically when we see this tightness come in, a big move comes right afterwards, such as here. Also, and we've had it up higher back here. So when we're looking at it right now, I do see that there is a potential for this to be a fake out and break back down in. Ethereum's got some things going on. And one thing that I've been watching over here, we're below this dynamic reactor, and the dynamic reactor is starting to push in really tight onto the top here on the price on the 4 hour. And if we look at where we are on the fib lines that I've been watching for a while, we're sitting just below the 786. It's been our rejection here going all the way back now to 14 May. So about a week now. we've been rejected off of the 786 on the platinum pocket here. If I turn off that fib and I throw on to the fixed range volume profile here, it's that point of control is lining up there also. So there's a lot of volume where we are right now, guys, a ton. All of the point of control is hitting right here on this. And you can see that if we end up breaking down here, we do have a small little ledge right here that we could catch on. And that's going to be just like right here in the range of what we've been in. It's going to be hitting down below that one where we really had the fall. But if we break above this level here and we can get above the dynamic reactor on here, we have a huge, nice gap that brings us all the way back here up to about 1870. So fixed range volume profile looks a lot easier to go up than it does to go down. Sometime in the next 24 hours, we will have a breakout on this symmetric triangle here. And I do want to point out a couple of things. You can see how flat the MACD is on price on Ethereum right now, running just super flat. I've got to actually zoom it in here and get other things to go off the screen to see just how flat Ethereum has been running. The RSI, same thing. We're right here on that 50% line, looking super flat right here, with sitting above the signal line on the RSI, just running in here. We could literally have the entire distance down or the entire distance up for how this breaks out of here. I tend to believe that this is probably going to break to the upside if I really have to do that based on the fixed range volume profile. And another piece that I have on that to show why I'm thinking that is, we are in the lower half of the trade band on the predictive ranges of Chart Prime's predictive ranges here, which I love to trade these two gold lines there. It looks like the delta has been our point of rejection also, which is just heavy resistance confluence with that point of control and sitting there with that 786 on the fibs. If I drop them all together here, you'll see nice, tight little just confluence of resistance there, right? This has been running pretty hot going starting the 16th here of May. We just had a nice pump up. It rejected off of the 618, hold back down below the dynamic reactor. Once it retested support here, it's been trading pretty much in the golden pocket the whole time. We even came down for another little retest here on the dynamic reactor before pulling back into here. It's finding a lot of support. And we just got a ribbon twist with a nice wide cloud on the oscillator here to give us indication of more upside.
Don't be surprised to see XRP fall back down to the golden pocket after hitting its head here on 0.5. But I think we could see, I think you're right. I think as we're seeing these things start to climb, this is the daily chart right here, kind of a touch there on the daily dynamic reactor again, and kind of a up and go signal here. I'm not going to be surprised, guys, to see almost everything dip first, like we showed you on Bitcoin, like he showed you on Ethereum. We saw the DXY has a little room to the upside. Don't be surprised to see things take a small fall. Again, volume on almost everything is really low right now, and then real rallies come here just a little bit later.
Joe Biden says he's not willing to strike a deal with crypto traders. She said, "I'm not going to agree to a deal that protects wealthy tax cheats and crypto traders while putting food assistance at risk for nearly 1 million Americans." Presidential candidate Kennedy vows to defend Bitcoin against invasive surveillance. And Kennedy took aim at President Joe Biden's proposed 30% tax on energy use for Bitcoin miners, saying it would require an invasive surveillance apparatus to monitor mining energy usage. Ripple has just added experienced financial executive Warren Jensen to its board of directors. Jensen serves as the CFO for 4 different multi-billion-dollar companies over the last 30 years, including Amazon, Delta, and Electronic Arts, I guess that's EA, the gaming company, and Nielsen. Wow, you made it to the end of the video. Great job. Now, if you want more content like this, whether it be TA on Bitcoin and Ethereum or altcoins, or you just want to stay up to date on the latest and greatest news in crypto, then stay tuned and tune in to our 9 a.m. live show every single weekday morning. It's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when you tune in live, use the keyword grip strength in the chat, and you'll get a special shout out from anyone who's paying attention to the chat. Love to see you there.